shepherd tends to his flock under a star-riddled sky, dreaming of far other places he's not sure exist, allowing his imagination to take hold and slip into lucidity, abruptly jolted back to reality by the bleat of a young ewe, absent-mindedly stroking her head as she nuzzles his palm. I wonder what the future holds for a shepherd like me, he asks her. She looks back with eyes that seem to almost understand, but have actually spotted a particularly tempting patch of foliage. He became a shepherd to travel, but he wondered as to his goal. Next morning he was awoke by the sensation of a dragonfly alighting on his arm. He admired it for a while, gazing at the rainbow trapped in the depths of its wings, then watched it float away on the gentle morning breeze. Suddenly he became aware of the presence of another, but upon looking found no one, save for a lone lizard catching moisture from the air. He greeted him nonetheless, and was surprised when his greeting was returned. "You can talk," the boy eventually exclaimed, to which the lizard retorted in a similar fashion. "But I'm meant to be able to talk," argued the boy, "and it's only human arrogance to dictate to the creatures cannot." The boy began to consider this for a while as the lizard effortlessly snatched a fly out of the air. "So what is it that you seek?" inquired the lizard lazily. The boy explained he saw purpose in his travels. "You journey, but you know not what for," to which the boy nodded in agreement. "You asked the wrong question," mused the lizard in an esoteric fashion the boy was unaccustomed to. Seeing the boy's bosom, he continued, "Ask yourself, what at this moment is lacking?" As the boy attempted to contemplate this, he discovered that his mind had emptied. All anxiety and doubt would be replaced by pure joy and serenity. Seeing this in the boy's eyes, the lizard continued, "A good traveller has no fixed plans, and is not intent on arriving." The boy, although hearing all this the first time, felt it sounded strangely familiar, as if he was being prompted to realise what he already knew. He was overcome by a sense of compassion and of harmony with life. This had washed over him. He went to thank the wise old lizard, only to discover he had vanished, until he turned around and saw him wandering off in search of some shade. The boy silently thanked the lizard, collapsed back into the grass and lit a long wooden pipe. He began to watch the clouds as he blew smoke rings into the air, and smiled to himself as the dragonfly danced through them playfully. She breaks my heart, because it means we loved each other enough for her to be able to do so in the first place. It means instead of perpetual loneliness, I'd have experienced love again, if only for a while. Realistically, the chances of us being together forever are so minuscule, it'd be almost certain. And if anyone's heart's going to get broken, I'd rather it be mine. Because I'd still love her, and I know I'm strong enough to get through it because I already have. Once. One of the loneliest feelings, not having anyone to love for a long time. It's better to have loved and it all messed up than never to have loved. At all times you find ourselves comparing our happiness to others. Constantly telling yourself, I don't need anyone else to be happy, but it sure as hell be nice. To try and find a focal point for this extra love I have to give. Slowly stagnating inside me with nowhere to flow. When you find yourself reminiscing fondly about fights with exes because at least your heart was screaming for something. Nowadays you're lucky if you can get anything as opposed to nothing. People say that if you fight it means you're close to someone, but at the end the fight is just a collision of egos. This I've learned from anime and a whole lot more, but it can be pretty damn hard to understand someone you shout through a bedroom door. And words get pretty incoherent when they're choked out, curled up crying on a bathroom floor. And try as you might, but transferring all your pain into inanimate objects to your fist just doesn't work. Believe me, I've tried. What I'm trying to say is, even in these most turbulent of times, there was always an undercurrent of love. According to the Oxford Dictionary definition, a soulmate is someone who comes... According to the Oxford Dictionary definition, a soulmate is a person ideally suited to another as a close friend or romantic partner. But this only begins to scratch the surface. To me, a soulmate is someone who comes into your life to tear you down. Rip away all the rubbish, pry apart your arm and remove that ridiculous mask. Then, act as a mirror to show you your true colours. To live with a soulmate forever? Nah, too painful. Once they've done their job, they get the hell out of Dodge. Like a circus that stayed in town just long enough for you to get lost in the hall of mirrors. You may not like what you see, but at least you can view you clearly. How can you move forward if you don't yet know where you are? Trying to maintain a facade is like a plate spinner who's spinning too many plates. Like an overconfident weightlifter trying to frontier gravity to let him climb a few too many weights. And I let his merry-go-round go full circle. I never entered this race to win, so I let myself trip at the last hurdle. I hope you break my heart, because I never want to be responsible for breaking another's ever again. Uploading a meeting was a novelty. A multitude of chance meetings, circumstance cubed. But the universe smiled down on us, a cupid of cosmic proportions. Am I read of miracles being outweighed by idle irrationalities? The elegance of irony is embodied in the fear of losing what you've never even had. In spending hours composing and redrafting everything I say to you before I send it. Then spending ages thinking about how sad it is I can't allow myself to be me. The fear you might not think we see. I get on alone and sit at the front on the top. I wonder whether it's because that's where you sat when I first met you, or so did the passengers can't read the disappointment on my face. Reminisce about how you introduced me into my life with a poem about spliffs and pennies. Every time I get on the bus, I'm always focused on point A and point B, hoping that once more the universe will give you to me. Every person has stopped looks exactly and nothing like you at the same time. Every footstep in my direction caused my head to turn, only to be met by the familiar sensation of unfamiliarity. How the scent of cigarette smoke suddenly symbolises sweetness so serene and scintillatingly simple. How my mind reels with the unlikely, channels of possibility through me. You, appearing like a dream, distraught and lost in a world of intoxication. How I'd rescue you a bus fare and a sympathetic ear, a cocktail of 2 parts listen and 1 part tuck you into bed. Making a fair attempt to tell you a wildfire tales that drift on out the door. Or, see you engage in a full-blown argument with your dad down the street. I'd jump off the bus and whisk your way to the warmth of my room. Not to have sex, but to feel each other's words flavour the air. Because who needs better communication when I have your eyes to lose myself in? Please, allow me to take the world off your shoulders with the innocence of a kiss. period, there's constant conflict inside me between those old enemies, logic and love. She's not going to be on the last one, but then again, maybe I should just wait because I'm not even tired and be rude to leave in the middle of this conversation. When you find yourself gambling between choices of such small odds, hope can be like the highest diving board above an empty pool that appears full. When I think about you, it feels like my body doesn't quite fit. Like my hands can't piece together when there's a gaping hole where yours should be. I still remember that fleeting kiss on the cheek who offered the solace of my suffering that night. And even though it was born out of mere sympathy, it still elates me. I swear I can still feel its warmth even now. See, this story doesn't yet have an ending, but I've always had an intimate history of tragedy. So I'll paint this pinnacle with pathos. Let me weave this tapestry lavishly with an anguished mentality. I never meet you again, or maybe I do, but all I receive is a punch in the heart when I see some lucky guy with his arms around you. Often he would think this, and after many visits, found a physical manifestation for his wishes. A tall, grand willow tree. He decided this would be the perfect solution to all that he wished for, and would make the time spent beside his lake complete. The only problem was, were he to plant such a tree, he would never be able to reap what he sowed. Never get to enjoy its beauty and grandeur. Never feel the shade from its trunk, never to sit upon its deciduous blanket, feel the warmth from its branches cradling from the snow, hear the music of the wind dance through its swaying leaves. At first, he lamented his fate that no one previous had planted such a tree in order for him and others like him to appreciate its existence. Then, he surrendered to the impossibility of his daydreams, accepting the futility of his folly. Finally, his contemplation came full circle, and off he set on a journey. A young woman slowly closes a book, her long black hair dancing gracefully in the wind. She listens to its music as it works its way through the branches of an old, pliant willow, gazes at its reflection in the still waters of a calm lake, and smiles to herself as she bows her head in gratitude to the heavens. To finish off, I want to try something that I've never done during a performance before, which is essentially to freestyle poetry. But seeing as we've got an impromptu jazz band in the background, I thought it was only relevant, so let's give this a try. I'm going to take it slow and these guys can fill in the gaps. We are all one. We are all connected. Maybe not intellectually, but most certainly spiritually. We've been brought together through a love of a common denominator, in this case, jazz. An event called Jazz Lines, connecting people to music. And if you have art in your soul, you have an obligation to use it, to try and make people happy in the most basic way possible. Whether you choose to paint on a canvas and express your inner thoughts, or play an instrument and just go a bit wild. People enjoy doing this and people enjoy watching it even more. Looking at all of your smiling faces now, I can tell this. Well, mostly smiling anyway. And at the end of every performance you hear an applause. Some of it heartfelt, maybe some of it hollow. But it all combines to make one beautiful noise that's indistinguishable from the rest. So at the end of the day, whether it's meant or not, does it really matter? Politeness is a form of kindness in the first place, so why not? My words are so potent, they get you high to the max like you're holding a roach. Through these words I want to travel continents and traverse many miles like Davis. When I'm done, I'll go up to the universe and hand in my bill like evidence. There is beauty all around us, but some of us don't take the time to appreciate it. Even the most simplistic things have become magnanimous if you let them. The trick is to not take life so seriously.